Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
I've been having like an issue trying to figure out how to kind of like brand myself and scale to YouTube because I do want to start doing that at some point. Is there any kind of steps that you can take to really figure out what specifically you want to talk about? I don't know. I don't have anybody around me to kind of talk this stuff over with, so I've just been kind of mulling it around in my head and talking with my fiance. And
He's referencing my video with Bart. We did a video that I think, like, I be feeling like my best videos that like are really tangible, like the least amount of people watch, and it's so heartbreaking. But if it's like we do a video about some like scandal or allegation or what, everybody's like, yeah, right. And the video like that is just like, yo, this is like so good. But basically, what me and Bart was talking about was he had a quote, and I got it written down here, and he said, "If you understand your identity properly." You can create your intellectual property, right? If you can understand your identity properly, you can then create the best intellectual property. And so the tough part is that so many of us live life from our vantage point and we only see out of our perspective. We don't really understand how people from the outside view us, right? And so the issue though is that we tend to lack self-awareness, especially if you're coming from like a single parent home like I do, right? Or you tend to be more of an introvert. You don't allow a lot of access to you from other people in the middle of COVID, right, where the whole country is on lockdown. You don't really maybe get to be around as many people. It can be really tough. So Eddie, I don't know you that well, right? I know you just on a very superficial level, just like checking out some of your music. So what I would say is listen to people, ask the right questions, and then listen to people. So it could be as simple as, like, I could ask you a question. I want you to really think about this question. Like, if you ever watched WWE wrestling, right? And this is something that Ray Rock asked me like 6 years ago. If you could be any wrestler, or who is your favorite wrestler? If you could be any wrestler, what wrestler would you be, or who is your favorite wrestler, and why? Right? And really think about that and jot that down, right? Who would you be and why? What comic book character would you be and why, right? These are questions that are, they get you thinking more abstractly about your identity and less from your perspective out to the world, but from the world's perspective about you. You sit down with your parents and ask them, like, what was I like as a child? Like, what were some of my personality traits? What were some of the things I was really interested in earlier? What were some of the things that, what were three ways you would describe me? What would you say are some of my strengths? What would you say are some of my weaknesses, right? And really listen, like really listen. Now I'm going to tie this together to you about me. I'm going to get personal. This whole like politically agnostic thing, it seemed to be catching some legs, and I've been trying to figure this out for myself in terms of like what's an actual product I could sell people. Most of my income is passive, and that's not like a flex of like, ooh, I make passive income. It's coming from Patreon, me building this community. It's coming from YouTube. It's coming from the music I've already released. But I don't feel like I've really scratched the surface in terms of my potential as a producer or as a musician, right? So it's coming in passively, and that's great. But like, what's a product I could really sell to people? What's something I could solve? What's a banner we could all get underneath? And I started saying the phrase politically agnostic really just in interviews. Like I would say it. I said it to, I'm trying to remember like the first time I said it. And I don't even know if I've made it up, to be completely honest with you. I could have just heard somebody else say it and like subconsciously internalized it and kind of stuffed it out. But when I Googled it, nobody was really using it consistently as a part of their brand. And I was doing an interview with Zuby, right? And I remember saying it. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm pretty politically agnostic. Like I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. Zuby, who's a black Republican conservative friend of mine, was like, man, that's really interesting, like politically agnostic, right? So I heard him say. Then I heard other people start identifying it. Then I was like, man, maybe I should make a shirt. So then I made a shirt, and then I heard it got people I look up to, like Bartholomew, or like admire, people I admire creatively, start saying, yeah, I'm politically agnostic, and they started saying it and started using it. And then there was a tweet that I put up, and it was actually on my Instagram, and it was a tweet that said, you know, one could be a patriot, love their country, acknowledge structural racism, and not embrace critical race theory and intersectionality as absolute gospel truth, right? Like I tweeted that. And I remember like just kind of tweeting and not really thinking about it, and just me processing my external thoughts on some of these like nuanced issues and nuanced perspectives that I have. And Lecrae retweeted it. He retweeted it and he said, I want to see, this dude is a thinker. we need to have more conversations like this, or I want to see more thinkers like this, right? And I didn't really think of myself as a thinker, right? But again, I'm listening to people that are more successful than me. I'm listening to people who have seemingly found their voice. I'm listening to other people that are helping me bring awareness to what value my perspective has, right? What value my perspective has. And that requires a level of humility, a level of like, yo, the thing I thought was going to be the thing wasn't necessarily the thing. I still got to do it, but it empowered me to get to the thing. And maybe, who knows, maybe politically agnostic is a 7-figure idea. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try it and I'm going to see. And that's the trial and error portion of it, right? That's the trial and error portion of it. So I don't know. I am going to react to this video tomorrow. It's an interview, and I tweeted it with Patrick Bet-David and Donald Miller, and I highly recommend all you guys watch it. And Donald Miller wrote a book back in like 2003, 2004, actually life-changing book for me personally. It's called Blue Like Jazz. It's in the description of all my videos. And he's since gone on to found this thing called Storyboard, and it's really good in terms of like practical stuff on how to build a business and a product and what problem you're trying to solve, so on and so forth. So to answer your question, Eddie, I think you have to get self-aware about yourself. You have to get in tune with what are your levels of expertise, what is stuff you know about, what are different intersections of like different things that you can speak on, and you can speak on with authority, meaning that the stuff I talk about, I know what I'm talking about. I don't have to do a ton of research on my videos. I can just make them because I spend a ton of time thinking about the stuff I'm talking about, or I've actually studied it and took a class on it, right? Already listening to it. So you see what I'm saying? So it's just like, how can you be that, how can you identify yourself, right? Identify yourself properly. What is your identity? What are your hobbies? What are the things you're into? What are the things you're good at? What are your levels of expertise? What are you not good at? Right? Like, I'm not an administrative guy. I don't like books and Excel sheets. I'm not that guy, right? Yeah. So like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And that requires effort, man. That requires effort. That requires hard work. But once you figure that out, once you figure out a little bit, then start. And starting, you will learn more from starting and doing than just sitting and thinking and preparing. Don't just be in a constant state of preparing. Start something and you'll figure out. Look at the biggest YouTubers. They're not doing today or what they started with. And the thing they started with isn't what got them popping, right? Like most of these guys have decades and decades and years and years and years of doing stuff, but they kept trying, and then finally something popped off.
Yeah, because I'm about to move, and when I move, I'm going to have another room, and I'm going to turn that second bedroom and kind of start doing that and building that out. And so, yeah, man, I've just been trying to, think that over, and this is kind of my area because I don't really have anybody around me that's doing these things. And so I just kind of wanted to shoot that out there, and yeah, man, that was super helpful.
Kingstream Entertainment, Ruslan.